Levels. Here we will be looking at using floor plans, making new levels, elevation views and level properties. Walls. Here we will be looking at placing walls, editing wall properties, creating openings, joining walls and materials. Doors and windows. Here we will be looking at adding doors and windows, properties and editing their profile.
Okay, welcome to lesson 2. Let's have a look at the sample model in a bit more detail. So every Revit model is built around levels. This sample model has several levels defining, for example, the ground level, the level of the first floor and the roof level. So let's have a look at the levels associated with this model. So to view levels we need to be in elevation view. So let's go into north elevation by clicking north under elevations in the project browser. So here is the north face of our building. To view levels, click on edit over in the properties window under visibility graphics here. Okay, this brings up the visibility graphics window. Also, another way to bring up the visibility graphics window is by pressing VG on your keyboard. It's a shortcut key to bring it up. So anyways, we need to click on the annotation categories tab up at the top here, and we need to scroll down to levels. So here it is. We need to tick levels, and then we need to click OK. So these horizontal lines represent the levels that have been defined for this building. So let's have a closer look at them. So scroll over to the levels and zoom in closer. You can see some levels icons are blue and others are black. The blue icons represent levels that have an associated floor plan. There are two ways to view a floor plan associated with a level. So if I double click on level 1, you'll be taken to its corresponding floor plan. So level 1. Okay, so to view all the windows you have open, I'm going to make it so it's Windows Tile. So if I go over to the View tab in the ribbon, I can click Switch Windows and it'll show me up all my windows I have open, so I can change to one I want. But a shortcut way is by pressing WT, and it'll bring up all the windows I had recently opened or have open. So we need to be in elevation view. So let's go over to north elevation. If I double click the window, it'll bring me to the north elevation. So, but look, I can't see the building, so a good way to extend your view is by pressing on your keyboard is a shortcut key by pressing Z and E, and it'll bring me back to this extent view. Also, another way of doing that is if I just scroll in, is by coming over to the navigation bar to the right. I can go to zoom in region and I can do zoom all to fit, and it'll bring me the extent view again. So now let's zoom back into the levels. So first of all, I'm going to modify the height of level 3. So to do this, I need to click the level line to highlight it, and then click on the height parameter. A new editor box appears here. This is the height parameter, this is the elevation. Okay, so if I change the level 3 to 6,000, you will notice all the features associated with this level has been changed. So if I change it back to 6,400, you will see this window here to the left will go back up because it's associated with that level. Okay, so now we're going to add a new level. So if you go up to the ribbon here at the top, we'll go over to Architect and then scroll across to Level. Click on the Level tool and you should have a cross cursor in the middle of your screen. So if I go to the end and drag all the way over here, it'll create me a new level. So I want to change this to 5,000. Now it's changed the elevation to that level is changed to 5,000. Okay, so now we're going to make a building. So we're going to be placing walls and doors and windows. So if you'd like to go to New over in the projects here, create a new Revit project file. Click OK. And here is our new Revit file, project file. So to start, we are going to add levels. So we need to be in the elevation view. So if we go to elevations in the project browser and click east. As you can see, by default, you can see the level 1, level 0. So we're going to add another level. So if you go to level here, over in architecture tab on the ribbon, click the level tool, and as you can see this highlighted line which keeps it in line, go to 4,000 millimeters, such as 4 meters, and bring it across to this other highlighted line, and then there's my second level. So we want to rename these to, so this one we need to rename to ground level, and then click yes. First floor, second floor. Yes. Also, another way of renaming your levels is by over in the project browser to the right. You can see under floor plans you have the levels here. So if I click on first floor and right click, you can see the other options you can do. So I can click on rename here and I can rename it to whatever. So I could rename it to third floor, and here's changed to third floor, but it's not the third floor, so we need to change it back to the first floor. Okay, so that's renaming, and we've added our levels. So now we're going to move on to actually creating our building. So we need to be in the ground level. So we've gone to ground level and we're going to add walls. So if you go over to the wall tool in under architecture, you will be given, it has selected the basic wall cavity. This is selected by default. So we want to place a wall which goes up to, well, the constraint, we want it to go through first floor to the top second. Okay, so you want to go through first floor to the second. Also, you can do that up here by clicking ground floor or second. So yeah. Anyways, now we are going to create our walls. So if I can just drag a wall here, I can make it to 15,000 millimeters, or I can just type in 15,000 millimeters. So you can drag to how long you want it, or you can type in by just pressing a number key on your keyboard, and it will bring up the editable box. So I want it 15,000 millimeters, and there you go. I would like this one 10, so I can change this to 10 like that, and by clicking, or I can type it in. Now I don't have to do that because as I bring my wall across, it'll bring up 15,000 meters because it is trying to line it up with the wall opposite it. So that's good, it's easier. So you can just do that and then you've created your simple walls. So this is my simple building at the minute. If I go to 3D view, this is my building. Okay, if I don't want the walls to go to second floor, I can change them to go to first floor, such as using the top constraints again. So if you press WT to open window tile, it'll bring up all my windows I have open. So I press WE on this, click on this one, press WE, press WE. It'll extend the view. So I want to change, let's wear the front wall. I want to change this wall to go to the first floor. I don't want it to go to the second, so I can click here, and the properties palette to your left, I can click first floor, and it's changing it down to the first floor. But we don't want that, we want to change it back to the second floor. So I'm going to change it back to second floor, and it's done that. So, what if I don't want them to be basic wall cavity? I can change the type of wall it is over in the type selector on the properties palette. So we want to be into the floor plan, double click on the floor plan window, press ZE to get to an extent view. Okay, so I'm going to click on this wall here. I don't want it to be basic wall cavity. Let's change this one to, let's change it to just brick. So as you can see the difference now. This one's wall cavity, you can see the cavity in and the basic wall. This is just a basic wall. You can see the difference here. But we don't want it basic wall, so we're going to change that back. Press undo over in the quick access toolbar at the top, or press Ctrl Z and it will bring you back, it will undo your recent action. So it's giving me back the basic wall cavity. So now, if you look on, press WT for Windows Tile again. If you look at your building, you can see there's white inside the cavity and then the brick on the outside. What if, so if your wall does happen to be the white on the outside, so if I click onto this wall here and I press this little arrow here, it'll change the orientation of the wall. So it'll change the white side to the outside, but we don't want that. It's just in case you happen to have done something and it would have changed the wall that way, changed the orientation. So let's change that back. That's how it should look. So to view your cube, to view your building, you can, so just go around it in your 3D view. You could press shift and you right click on your mouse to rotate around your building. Also you can use the view cube up in the top right, so I can click on the top to view the top or the corner, stuff like that, north facing, or I can just drag it and hold and drag and it will pivot around. So that's another great tool you can use. So also you can use also in the navigation bar you can use the navigation wheel, which is very useful. You can do zoom, orbit around, so you pivot in again. You can pan. It's good if you can do center, stuff like that. You can do all sorts. So let's close that off and go back to the extent view.